This is a smoking gun.
Evidence that Joe Biden was personally profiting from his son's business ventures.
If you saw a text message like this in a potential money laundering operation or a potential pay-for-play operation, would you be looking for information related to money going from son to father?
House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer is revealing new banking documents which show a $250,000 payment from Chinese business interest to Hunter Biden that was sent to Joe Biden's home in Delaware. And this is while Joe Biden was running for president in 2019. Joining us to discuss all this is Seamus Bruner, Director of Research at the Government Accountability Institute. Seamus, welcome back to the show. Good to see you.
It's great to see you too, Lindsay.
Okay, so Republicans think that they have a smoking gun here, ultimately because there's these two wire transfers that came from China to Hunter Biden addressed to Joe Biden's home in Delaware when he was running for president in 2019. Is this the evidence that Republicans are hoping for to tie Joe Biden to his son's business dealings?
Well, the Bidens say that Hunter Biden lived at that house. Now, according to Hunter Biden's own memoir, he did not live at the house at the time. He lived in California. So we know the Bidens are going to try to say that this check was meant for Hunter, not Joe. But the timing is coincidental. I mean, at that time, right when they get that check in 2019, not only is Joe Biden running for president, he also has just written a letter of recommendation to the BHR principal who is behind these checks, Jonathan Lee. And of course, Jonathan Lee, getting a letter of recommendation from the former vice president, the child got into Georgetown. So this looks just like pay for play. It looks like a quid pro quo. Joe Biden also lied when he said that Hunter nor he ever got paid by China. This is direct evidence of that. So it certainly is a smoking gun. But there's piles of smoking guns in this Biden matter, from China to Ukraine and beyond.
And as you know, Hunter Biden's laptop shows that actually Joe Biden met with Jonathan Lee, had coffee with him. And so this goes against what he has been saying this whole time, that he had no idea of his son's business dealings and he wasn't involved with them to be seen. But at the end of the day, you brought this up. We've heard Joe Biden say many times that nobody got paid from China. These wire transfers would prove that untrue.
Yeah, that's a flat-out lie. Joe Biden lied when he said that nobody got paid from China. He lied when he said he never met with Hunter's business partners. You bring up this trip to Beijing in 2013. This is a critical trip in the Biden business saga. This is where Hunter Biden flies with Joe Biden on Air Force Two to Beijing, with all of the kind of pomp and circumstance that comes with that. Gets the red carpet treatment. He rolls out of Air Force Two and he goes to this hotel where he meets Jonathan Lee. Well, Joe Biden shook hands with Jonathan Lee. That has been confirmed in 2013. Now, what happens after this trip? $1 billion private equity deal. This is the biggest deal that Hunter Biden and the Biden family got. A $1 billion private equity deal bankrolled by the Bank of China. That's like China's state bank. 10 days after that trip. So Joe Biden has been involved since the beginning. And Jonathan Lee, this BHR deal is tied to the highest levels of the Chinese Communist Party. And the things that they were investing in were really unsavory businesses. And Hunter was there the whole time. Joe was there the whole time. This is the center of the China business dealings.
One objective for Republicans in the impeachment inquiry is to identify a smoking gun, clear evidence that Joe Biden was corruptly involved in Hunter's business affairs and abused the power of the vice presidency. We're joined now by Guy Lewis, a former U.S. attorney. Guy, welcome back to the show. Always good to see you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Good to be here as well.
Okay, so I want to play a clip from the impeachment inquiry hearing today. Here is Representative Byron Donalds reading a text from Hunter to his daughter, Naomi. Listen.
And this one is a famous one. Everybody knows this one. This is a famous one that says, I hope you all do what I did and pay for everything for this entire family for 30 years. It's really hard. But don't worry, unlike Pop, I won't make you give me half your salary. Mr. Dubinsky, if you saw a text message like this in a potential money laundering operation or a potential pay-for-play operation, would you be looking for information related to money going from son to father?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
So, Guy, is Hunter Biden, by his own admission here, through that text, proving what the House Republicans are looking for, evidence that Joe Biden was personally profiting from his son's business ventures?
So, Lindsay, I got to tell you, I prosecuted a lot of cases when I was a federal prosecutor down here in Miami, and I have tried and convicted defendants on less evidence than what we just heard, what was just read to us. I don't know what a smoking gun is that the left is trying to describe. If you can't look at this text by Hunter Biden, put aside all the other evidence that we've talked about and that we know exists, this is a smoking gun. Stop. End of discussion.
You know, one of Hunter's business partners, Devin Archer, he testified before Congress earlier this year that Hunter Biden was selling the illusion of access to his father and the Biden brand. But today in the hearing, law professor Jonathan Turley, who was a witness, he brought this up and he said, how do we know it was an illusion of access? So, Guy, can that be proven that it wasn't just an illusion, that it really was happening?
Absolutely, Lindsay, and you prove it through the direct and the circumstantial evidence. Again, we look at what actually occurred. Biden himself meeting some of these co-conspirators. Biden getting on the phone and demanding that a Ukraine prosecutor who was investigating some of his son's businesses, that same prosecutor be fired. Bank account records that show shell companies and monies originating in China, in Ukraine, in Russia, in Kazakhstan. I mean, just all over Eastern Europe where monies are going into shell accounts, winding up into the Biden family accounts here in the U.S. And then you get the text message that the congressman just read saying, hey, I got to give half of this or portions of this to, I think they called him the old man or the big man. So I don't know how much more powerful you can get other than maybe Biden himself coming out and admitting he's part of this pay-for-play scheme.
Do you think that they should bring him before the hearing? Do you think that they should subpoena Hunter Biden and Joe Biden? Because so far, these are the key witnesses, and we haven't heard from them.
Boy, I gotta tell you, that's the best question I've heard in a long, long time. There is no reason why the prosecutors, either the congressional prosecutors, the Republicans who are putting on the evidence, or frankly, some of the so-called special prosecutors who've been appointed to investigate this, why aren't they trying to either immunize and put some of these people in the grand jury? Look, we did it all the time. We tried to take their statements. They have a right to exercise the Fifth, to decline to answer your statements based on the Fifth Amendment right to self-incrimination. But in this case, I would certainly be issuing the subpoenas and say, listen, Mr. President, we'd like for you to testify in the grand jury about these very documents, these very facts.